What up? What up? Oh, how everybody doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. How you, babe? It's
Hey,
it's been a while since we all been together. It feels weird. I don't know.
Yeah, Where's Piff?
I don't know. Anybody? I didn't see. She didn't. She said she was gonna be here, so she might be running late.
Lord have mercy.
People being
Yeah, you
late.
gonna text her?
People being late. What is all of that about?
The world coming to
I know
an
you
end
ain't talking.
because you here before. If you here before Piff, the world coming to a full end. Okay, I just wanted to be said on record. The world coming to a full end. But anyway, tonight's show, you guys, women when women cheat, and a female sent me this topic,
Mm.
and so. And I'm going to tell you her perspective. She was like, I want to talk about, hear y'all's point of view on, when women cheat and, why women cheat and, what happens in the relationship after the fact and, all of these different parts about, the whole concept. We know last year and previous years, it was the whole black men don't cheat thing, whatever. Everybody cheat is equal opportunity cheating, as somebody said in ringside about about this topic. So so yeah, I thought that it was great. I was gonna do kind of a like somebody said echo. Who's watching on their phone?
I mean,
Tootie. It was
He's
Tootie.
muted. Yeah, it ain't me.
Anyway, but yeah, so I thought it was interesting because this was a situation. And yeah, ringside, somebody was like, yeah, I'm all for equal opportunity cheating. So I think that
yeah.
first of all, we need to define cheating, because if you're openly dating, is it really cheating?
Well, no, I definitely remember that comment, Dr. H. First and foremost, before I begin, I do want to say I love your hair. Um,
You.
looking, looking so nice this evening. So, just wanted to say that, put that out there. Number one, number two, cheating. Let's be honest, cheating looks different depending on the relationship. Because fact of the matter is, I don't have the dictionary in front of me, but cheating is basically a violation of, whatever rules that two or more people agree upon at the beginning. So,
Right.
so if two people come together and say we will not sleep with anybody else except each other, then one person violates, that's cheating.
Right.
Um, and so, but again, you have some people that say, well, it's only cheating if you don't tell me about it,
If you
or if
get
it's
caught.
someone that, yeah,
Or
you
right.
know, again, um, cheating is going to look
There's
different because, hey, Piff,
Hey, Pip.
Hi,
Missy
guys.
got her EDD.
EDS. Don't have
EDS.
nobody looking for me. Yeah, don't have nobody looking for me. And talking about she claiming something she ain't got. She ain't got it.
mm,
She got that doctorate. That's what we know.
Dr.
Listen,
Congratulations.
Piff,
Yeah,
congrats.
seriously, that's an amazing.
Man, that's work.
listen.
I know it. I know it. So yeah, sorry, Troy. I just had to shout that out because that's an amazing
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I was just saying, like, I've heard there've been women in ringside to comment that say, well, in their relationship, give an example, they feel like masturbation is a form of cheating. Um, some
Well,
people feel like,
you shouldn't be doing that if you're in a relationship. That's
well, no,
just my.
I beg to differ. I mean, I feel like anytime the mood hits you, I mean, if the person you're with, either they're not there, they're unavailable, they're not in the mood, I don't think there's anything wrong with
But we're
masturbation.
doing it enough. I think we're doing it enough that shouldn't be a. Okay, well, we can get into that. We need to do it 7 to 15 times a week. That's a requirement. So that shouldn't be. That's not an option. So
Gotcha.
I'm outside on my balcony because there's a lot going on in my house. There's another pocket.
said
If you hear a lot of noise,
7.
sorry.
The man says 7 to 15 times a week.
Hey, everyone's, I guess, libido is different in terms of frequency and how much they need it.
Get it
Um,
in.
He
but
young.
yeah, But yeah, at the end of the day, depending on the relationship, depending on the couple, cheating is going to look different. Basically, it's just whatever violates an agreement. That's all it is,
Right.
and everybody's agreement is different.
So I guess with the premise today is, I guess, with women, there's a big there's a big magnitude on men who cheat. You have all these singers, SZA, Brandy, everybody always out here, Beyonce bashing us, saying we cheat, we ain't shit, but yet we don't talk about the woman who cheats, because and then when they do cheat, it's always, well, there was a reason why she did, or it's justified. Am I
Well, no, one of the reasons that the whole Derek Jackson controversy, which just swept over social media like a typhoon. One of the big things that he was consistent about was that, which I always disagree with. I disagree fervently, is that when a man cheats, he's just a dog. He's just a fuckboy. But if a woman cheats, it's because the man was denying her something or lacking.
Right.
I'm like, that's complete
Justified.
bullshit. It's like, why are we giving women excuses? Like, if a woman cheats, does that automatically mean that she was being neglected by her man, or the man wasn't doing something? But if a man cheats, he can't say that, he can't use that same rationale. It's always like, no, cheating was a deliberate action. You made a decision to cheat, you cheated. If you try to say that to a woman, it's always, no, it was the man's fault. And I'm like, that's bullshit. I'm like, at the end of the day, what do I always say in ringside? I say this consistently. I say women can be bigger fuckboys than men. So let's put that out there. Got a lot of women out here who are fuckboys, so they don't deserve any exemption as well.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong, because you see it all the time. I see it. Like, we just had a conversation in ringside, I think it was today, where somebody was talking about the guy who was showering this girl with all of this stuff, and it's like, dude, you can't buy the girl on the one end, but at the other hand, it's kind of like you said, Troy. Your comment was, I don't feel bad for the guy. Listen, you know who you dating. You know who this girl is from the jump. If you know she ain't about nothing and all she want is your stuff, why would you continue to keep doing these things? She ain't really into you. She into your stuff. So you might have an understanding with her, but she got a totally different understanding. And so I don't know if that's why I want to start the conversation off with, what you guys' definition of cheating is, because it runs the gambit. And like Troy said, yeah, it can be, yeah. Yeah.
In that situation, I commented on that video. I didn't feel sorry for homeboy anyway. Anytime, if you do something because it comes from your heart, if you're doing something because you secretly want some ass, or you have an agenda or motive, and the other person ends up playing you first, I'm not gonna feel sorry for you. I ain't gonna shed a tear for you.
Come on.
Dude, don't be mad because it didn't work. You spent all that money, gave all them gifts, and she still didn't find you physically attractive. She still wasn't interested in giving you what you wanted. But at the end of the day, as a giver, you have to set limits, because takers rarely set limits.
Correct.
So it has to get to a point where, like, you know what? If I'm gonna give only so much, and before I see a return on my investment, or before I, get what I want. Otherwise, the person just gonna keep taking.
Right. I agree. Piff. Hey, girl. We missed you. But you had to finish that work you had to do.
Listen. So you're asking me what my definition of cheating is, right?
Right.
Whatever you guys I think that cheating there has to be a conversation about what is acceptable and unacceptable in a relationship, because cheating looks differently for everyone.
Right.
And so while I may think cheating is one thing, everyone on this panel may not think that thing is cheating, right? Some people think conversations are cheating. Like, seriously. So it gets that literal. Some people think a look is cheating. I can't define what cheating is for everyone, and I won't. But I will say, if you've had a conversation and you've set the boundaries and you both have agreed, right? on what cheating is like for your relationship, then just respect the relationship. I mean, clearly it doesn't happen, but I just think cheating can be so many things, and it could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be mental. Anything that has to do with the senses. Heck, you could just eat someone's food and cheat.
You explain that one. I guess because I have been in a situationship where I ate someone else's dinner and I talked about how good it was and I got cussed out for it. So yeah.
So I will say I have a friend. I always have a friend, y'all. I have a friend and I make I make banana pudding. I make a whole bunch of stuff. Jeff has had my banana pudding. And she was like, I wouldn't give her the recipe. I'm like, no, I'll make it, whatever. And so she was like, now she had told her boyfriend, listen, I'm going to ask Piff to make this banana pudding for you. But he put some serious stipulations on him eating the banana pudding. And I'm like, well, I don't think I want to make it. Like, I felt a way. I felt like, am I trying to, Reg, I got you. Am I trying to get him to cheat because I'm making it just was a lot. So
I think the thing about it with food is you have to understand that some people do view food as a form of flirting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Jeff, in that instance, and if it's good and you raving about it, people feel some type of way and might think, oh my God, because and in your case, if the girl might have felt some type of way because she can't put it down and she's give her a recipe. So it's kind of like girl, bye. You can go out there to all recipes.
Well, what she's looking for is validation.
I understand.
She's looking for validation that you like hers better.
Right.
At least that's my perception. And or maybe I reacted just like if you have sex, you're in a threesome and one person moans louder than the other, and you're like, you didn't moan that way when whatever with me.
Right.
It's that feeling. So I think that's all it is.
It's insecurities for sure.
I don't know if it's insecurity. I think because, for instance, I know you're talking about Piff. You made a good example. For me, cheating is and I know this is going to sound silly, but I've literally gotten upset with someone many times for if I see you putting hearts under even a supermodel's picture or someone else's photo, and then I get it's just social media. It's just a picture. Okay, fine.
Oh Lord.
And then I get the don't gaslight me because I'm that don't work on me. I'm gonna still stand firm when I believe. That's cheating for me because it's lust. So, but we can get back to
I mean, but your
no.
I that's the point. Everybody has a different definition of cheating, like she said.
That was my point, right, Jeff? I said I'm not going to define cheating for anyone. Right. So, and then I just gave the example. I just think, why are people cheating? What is not being fulfilled, right?
I agree.
Or honestly, you're not. Let me say this. I think that people need to realize their partner is not going to fulfill every need. How do you get what you need without breaking the bond of your relationship?
Right. And that goes back to what Troy said. I think that goes back to what Troy said in his definition of it's whatever the two of you or three of you, whoever is in a relationship, define based off of your togetherness. Horace, what do you you need to put your headphones on.
That's not me, that's Jeff.
We didn't have no echo till you came off mute.
That's not me. Well, keep blaming me. That's always me. That's Jeff and his kennel over there.
My what?
Lord.
Kennel.
You leave Kip alone. Leave Kip alone.
Well, listen, I just want to tell you guys right off the bat, black men do not cheat. Jamaicans and Haitian men do. Not black men. There's a disclaimer to that. And that's my opinion. So y'all need to know that black men don't cheat. I will say also that data actually shows that women cheat. More women cheat than men, and it's more elaborate.
Preach.
It's more intimate, except if she's a city girl. But I would say that sometimes cheating is a character defect, or sometimes it's a traumatic response. But I think when women do cheat, they think about it longer and harder before they actually go into the act than a guy perceives. For a guy, maybe a physical moment. Hey, I might be under the influence. But I think for women, it's more of a whole fairy tale fantasy. It's deeper than that. You know, that's why it does hurt a man more when you do cheat, because on the male side, hey, I was just caught a nut. On the female side, she's already pictured herself with this guy, and it's a little more deeper, unless she's a city girl.
You and this city girl thing.
It's a real thing.
If she's a city girl, she's not even worth being wifed up. But anyway,
they winning right now.
I don't know what you call winning, but then again, you know, you are in Florida. Y'all's definition and y'all's views on stuff are a little backwards, but I understand. But what you were saying about women do cheat more. They're better at it. One example I will give, for example, let's take a bisexual woman. Let's go there for a second. A lot of men think that's sexy. I think it's sexy. However, you could be hanging out with her, you two have an issue, and then she has a friend named Tiffany and a friend named Young MA. You already know I'm going with this.
Right.
They go shop. She tell her she's going shopping. She goes get what she wants from that girl. You know, the girl looks just as manly as you. She goes out, she showers. I mean, I said she showers. She gets showered with gifts, hang out with her all night. You would have never thought anything was going on. And they really have a whole cesspool of whatever they're doing, their little lesbian orgy or whatever. You would never know. And then they come back to you and she lives that good life. The thing is, women still can get babies by you. They could do whatever with you, and they can do whatever they want there. No one's going to bat an eye. Whereas a man's going to hang out with some beautiful women or something. Good luck.
Yeah, the double standard. Yeah. I think this is a great topic only because, like I said, a female sent this in, a woman sent this in. And, you know, getting into the nuances of why women cheat. And I think Horace really hit it on the head. Listen, before a woman steps out and cheats, this is just from my point of view, and this is just, you know, from clients and friends and, you know, just situations. Before that woman actually steps out and she has thought about it. Not only has she thought about it, she's actually expressed what she's not getting and what she needs from you in that relationship. And if you don't respond in some way, whether it's through a conversation or an action or something, she's definitely going to do what Pip said, find a way to fulfill that void. And again, back to Troy's definition, what is it that the two of you or three or more, whomever, because we got poly relationships, have agreed to? Maybe she's not cheating and stepping out, but let's take a traditional monogamous relationship. If a woman comes to you, and I'm posing this to the men on purpose for a reason. If your woman comes to you and she says, you know, this is what I need. I'm not getting enough physical affection from you. I'm not getting this from you. She's expressing to you what her love language is and how you can respond to her, and you don't respond. Then she cheats. What happened? Like, how do you respond to that situation?
So let me respond to that really quickly because
I need to hear
my only issue with that is based on the scenario you just laid out, Dr. H. It's almost like putting some of the accountability on the man. Like, you know, if the woman communicates with that man that she's missing something and he doesn't respond, then it prompts her to go and find it elsewhere, as if the man had an opportunity, the man had a duty, he didn't fulfill it, it was a dereliction of his boyfriend or husband responsibilities, and he blew it. But that, I can understand that scenario if, and I say this with a big if every woman was good at communication. If every woman actually communicated their thoughts, their feelings, their inadequacies, their, insecurities, then I could fuck with that scenario. But let's be honest, You have a lot of people who are unfulfilled. That doesn't necessarily mean they go to their partner and say, "Hey, I'm unfulfilled,"
I
or
agree.
you there's something I'm missing that you're not providing, or you're not providing anymore. Um, Again, I can't back this up with statistics, but I am a firm believer that the number one cause of divorce is a lack of communication.
Yeah.
They say finances, they say infidelity. I'm like, no, just the number one reason is just lack of communication. They communicate.
Yeah. Horace?
No, I'd agree with Troy. I will say that is a big thing, but plus the lack of communication is the pride, ego, resentment. There's a lot of stuff that builds up, but communication, even knowing those issues and not reciting them or not sharing them with the other person, is a contributor. But I think in this areas, we've normalized cheating too, which isn't something I think this culture is just so kind of loose and lax on a lot of stuff. I think cheating is normalized and almost to be expected. Everyone, whether you know it or not, you've probably been cheated on. The great JT Money, when I had somebody cheat on me back in the days, I knew it wasn't because of nothing I did. It was just a character issue. And when she told me, I was just like, I expect you to cheat. And she busted out crying. Oh my God. She felt awful about it, but I expect you to cheat. That was my defense wall, but we've let it be normalized. So that's a big issue.
Do you think these polygamy relationships and open relationships and all that stuff and allowing a third in and all that stuff, do you think that contributes to, or you think that's hiding the fact that people know they're going to cheat, so they're just making it easier to deal with?
I actually respect poly relationships more because I don't even know how to explain it. That would be one of Troy's angle, but I respect that. I respect it more because it's almost, I wouldn't know how to describe it, but it's not the same.
It's very defined. They're very defined relationships. Like they have for it to work. I mean, have you seen the conversations in Ringside in some of the videos on Polly's?
No, not even that.
I don't think that they're an excuse for people to cheat or be in an open relationship. I think that there's just a different dynamic. It's a special kind of person.
I was echoing.
It takes a special kind of person to be in a poly relationship. You know what I mean? Like I can't do it because I don't like to share. Ain't nobody got time for that. But
even with poly relationships, because we have a lot of poly people in Ringside, and Ringside is the stage literally for everybody. But one of the things that people don't understand, that even in poly relationships, there is still such thing as infidelity. There's still cheating. You can be guilty of cheating even if you are polyamorous or even if you are swinging. Because again, and I'll give you an example, because I have an interview with a poly couple next week I'm doing for my YouTube series. You can be in a polyamorous relationship and both agree that, hey, we're going to sleep with other people. But one agreement could be, hey, no sleeping with exes. Don't sleep with someone unless I cleared it first. Unless you tell me about the person first. I need to know who they are, their picture, their status, the whole nine. Then it's okay to step out. Well, you have people in polyamorous relationships and like, well, I said I wasn't gonna sleep with my ex, but my ex been hitting me up in my DMs and they've been looking good, been working out. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit that. You cheated because you told the person you're in a relationship with you can sleep with anybody except your ex, or you can sleep with anybody except anybody that has been clear. So even polyamorous relationship,
they violated the boundaries. Yeah, they violated what was agreed upon.
Still cheat. That's how you can still cheat.
Yeah. So I think that to the point about communication, you guys are hitting it. I think that, and this came up last year, as a matter of fact, that when we first started talking about relationships and communication, I think it's important to know how to communicate. And I think that's part of the problem with cheating, is because folks just don't know how to cheat. And I've said it from day one. You got to be mature to be out here dating and be in relationships, period. If you lack maturity, you're going to have issues, and you're going to do all of these things we're talking about. You're going to step out. You're going to do whatever. Even if even if the other person is better at communicating and setting those boundaries, you just You can't assume, like, people are not in your head. So one, you know, maybe you're too direct for the person, or maybe you're too subtle. I don't know, but I think that it is important to talk about the fact that communication. I agree with you, Troy. I think that everything, whether it's money, sex, whatever, I think it does boil down to lack of communication and how people, you know, treat that part of the relationship. Horace, I'm gonna go to you and then go to Piff.
No, I just wanted to add to that. A lot of people can communicate. We communicated back and forth, but it's like comprehension. So you can communicate, but comprehension is big as well, because two people can be communicating their issues and it's not being received. So what's the use of communication if nobody's open to listening and comprehending or receiving what the other person's saying? So that's a major part.
Wow. I think, that is huge, because you make a valid point there, because I can communicate all day long. I can find 50 different ways to communicate to you. But if it's not sinking in, whether it's pride, ego, or you just don't want to hear it or whatever, that is an issue, because maybe that's the reason why there isn't a response, because lack of comprehension, and by lack of comprehension, it could be the person don't know what to do with that information. And so rather than ask, well, what do I do with this information? You know, you just kind of let it ride. I don't know. But I'm not saying that when a woman steps out on a man and cheats, that it's the man's fault. I'm not saying that. That woman is solely responsible for her actions. Like, you cheat, I don't care if it's a man or woman, you solely responsible for cheating. You can say I communicated, all of that, that's fine. But at the end of the day, rather than cheat, just break up. That's just me, but
it's that simple.
I understand that it's also not that easy to do. So, Piff, go ahead.
Well, y'all have said a lot. That was a lot. You know, I don't think that. Well, I think that women get a pass because, and I'm just going to go back because that kind of struck a little chord with me because I'm a woman. I think women get a pass for cheating, or not, for cheating, because we're very emotional, and so a lot of the times that women give up their I want to say excuse, but their reason, right? Their reason for cheating is usually an emotional one, to me, for the most part, right? And so I think that's why women are given a pass about cheating. I don't know that that's necessarily right. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. You know, whatever your relationship is like and whatever you choose to do is on you. But I did want to answer that. Still not giving an excuse, but just acknowledging, you know, kind of what's being said. Like you said, Dr. Hughes, the communication piece has always been very big for me. If you don't communicate with your significant other and, you know, express what you feel is going right or going wrong, then you can't. I don't think you can be mad. I don't think you can fly off the handle and be like, I consider that cheating. You're 2 years in and you went and had dinner and you just are over the moon about it. Or, you know, you talked on the phone for a very long time. It was never discussed. Don't be mad. If we didn't discuss it, we didn't discuss it.
Right.
If cheating is a big deal to you and you can't handle someone cheating on you, you're going to make a point to have that conversation. And I segue into that because someone very close to me is like non-negotiable about cheating. Like non-negotiable. She lays down the law. Look, if this is what you want to do, if I catch you lying, if I catch you cheating, I'm out. Like, I'm not, it's not a discussion, no harm, no foul. It's kind of almost like business. And she does not give passes, but she also is not a cheater herself. So every expectation she gives to someone else, she holds herself to. So I actually really respect that she's very upfront and honest about what she can accept and can't. The problem today is, right, we are on social media a lot, just to kind of go to everyone's point. We are on social media a lot. And I think because we are on social media, we lack the communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
We lack saying it hurts my feelings when, or I don't like it when, like just very simple sentences. But a lot of people do not know how to use appropriate sentences when it comes to how they're feeling. It's
Let me ask you this, Piff. What is dependent that the elephant in the room people don't like to address is how they're, like we've discussed before, delivery. Some people don't know how to express it. There's some silent treatment. You can set me, like I always say, I tell my friends and family this all the time. You can come to me and say, Jeff, I don't like the way you talk, dress, act, or anything about you, and I'd like you to change. And I'll go, okay, tell me more. But if you come to me and say, you can't dress for shit, you talk like a white boy, and you're trifling, I'm gonna go to hell off on you. Yeah. You see the difference? Yeah. I don't get so even in relationships. Right.
So as a person, right, as a woman, right, and growing and maturing, I realized even before like the big hype of social media that we've always had this issue. I would say it's very cultural. We are not, keep everything in the house. Don't express how you feel. Don't say that. So when you come from that environment of not being able to speak about how you feel, then how can you expect someone to not take those? They haven't honed those skills of being able to say, it hurts my feelings when you do this, or I cannot handle when you do this other thing, right? So it's a skill we don't have, especially in our community. I will say that it's not acceptable for anyone to say, and I've heard parents tell their children, oh, you don't say that. You don't say it hurts your feelings. You tell them off, or you do this. It's always defense, fight, not flight mode, but fight mode. So if you're constantly in fight mode, how do I approach someone like you, Jeff, that's also in fight mode, right? Because what you expressed was kind of similar to a fight mode, right? If I approach you in an inappropriate manner, right? So just hear me out. If I approach you in an inappropriate manner, while you're hearing what you're hearing as disrespect, instead of filtering it out and replying and saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to approach this differently and say, look, what I hear you cursing at me and I feel disrespected, right? I hear what you're saying and I feel disrespected. But what I also hear is that your feelings are hurt. You don't like X, you don't like Y, and you don't like Z. Is this true? Because then that turns the whole conversation around. I think you can't have two people in fight mode or whatever, and then it's not communicating. That's what I don't.
You're gonna be fighting each other. Oh, and then people cut each other off and blocking
anyone. When I'm upset, you can ask my friends. I will get really, really upset, and then I will say I can't. I shut it down and I block myself off because I am not going to say inappropriate things. I need you to hear me and receive what I am saying in the moment and how you hurt my feelings or how you made me happy. Let's, give a different example. I think that we need to start exemplifying how we want to be spoken to. So, I try that every day. I try to turn that conversation around and take control over it. That's what I mean. That's what I'm going to say.
That's good. Troy and then Jeff.
Today, we have to also acknowledge the fact that, technology, social media is a major component of our relationships.
Right.
We're dealing with things that previous generations didn't have to deal with. Infidelity has always been there. Now there are different aids for it. There are different, especially for, you have people out there who are just weak. You have people who can't deal with temptation. You have people who can't, it's no different from two people. You have people out there who diet. Some people have willpower. Some people can't walk by a Cheesecake Factory without going in and grabbing a slice of cheesecake. And so it just depends. But I will say that without those conversations, without that communication, acknowledge the fact that, look, there's a difference between cheating and then just being very inappropriate, because
can you give an example?
To Jeff's point, something you said earlier, like, two people in a relationship and someone goes on social media and not only hearts someone else's picture, but also says, hey, you're beautiful, you're sexy. This person could be in a relationship, this person could be married, and say this to another person on social media underneath a thirst trap picture, say, oh my God, you're so sexy.
Right.
Or, did they cheat or were they inappropriate?
Right.
Were they disrespectful or did they commit infidelity and violate an agreement? So that conversation, that distinction needs to be had, because you have people out there who are in relationships who may be doing things that their partner considers cheating, but they don't. I'm like, hey, we didn't talk about this. So if I'm on Facebook and I heart a picture of a female friend of mine with her titties out, and I just heart it, did I cheat? Or am I just being an asshole and I just embarrassed you on social media and I was inappropriate? But did I literally just cheat on you? So if we're too afraid to have that conversation, if we're too afraid to actually convey to the person we're with, then you're setting yourself up for these fun-filled disagreements in the future.
Troy, that's why you got to ask what the intent was. I always do that. You never know, that could be a family member. There's times even people have misconstrued certain things I show support for. I won't get into that right now. I made assumptions that were completely false. They don't realize they're family or friends, but I'm not gonna go there. They could be a family, or they could be a close friend, they could be whatever. So that's what I always say. But I always say, what is your intent? If I see a man with six-pack, blue eyes, 6'8" linebacker, and you're putting he could have me any day, I'm gonna say, what's that about? And
that's
then
wild.
when you give me the I would never meet them. It's just a person on social media. Why are you being insecure? Okay, I will explain. And if I get anything but I'm gonna correct it, and this is why I prefer you more than them, and I don't think the answers are forced, I'm out of here. I don't have tolerance for that, because you're not gonna lust after me, and because I'm gonna start thinking, why are you with me? Is it because of my money? Is it because of and be insecure, whatever you want. Oh Lord, sorry. Yeah.
Let me get to Horace, because he's got to go. But let's get to Horace for his last comment, and then we'll be back to you, Jeff.
No, I was done with my thought. Go ahead.
No, I gotta go. Off topic, guys. Everywhere around the country, we've been dealing with these police-involved shootings, right? But we're dealing with inner city shootings as well. So I'll get choked up, but man, I mean. We had the Siobhan trial, and then you had different police shootings around the country. But whether it's my city, whether it's Chicago, the inner city shootings, I'm having trouble with that, because it's like every night kids that haven't even learned what life is about are killing each other.
What are they fighting over? Drugs, women,
street life.
And then the worst part, Horace, I'm sorry, I just want to say something, leave it alone. Is we're giving the right wing the narrative to say black on black crime. Black and black violence.
So I gotta go. But I mean, just every night it's been
Thanks
something.
For everything you do.
And these kids, I just, it's hard.
That's why we had the conversation on black men being mentors, because these kids need it for sure. It's a lot. So, all right, Tootie, I understand. Later, I'll be in touch, babes.
All right,
man. Take care.
So yeah, no, I think that it's a lot of valid points. And Jeff, you made a valid point. If the about communicating, but the behavior not being corrected. And I think that it happens on both ends, and to the point of what we've been talking about, communicating and making sure that there's comprehension to understand how to proceed. Because I think that you can communicate, but if the person doesn't understand what they need to do to fix it, then the cycle is just going to continue. Because it's kind of like you feel like, okay, why do I keep talking? I keep saying the same thing. I keep talking. I'm saying the same thing. But maybe if you keep repeating yourself, it means that the person is genuinely not understanding what they need to do.
They're not listening.
Or they just don't want to, because
they're listening to respond, not to understand.
Right. I really think that is you gotta It really depends on how vested you are. I think somebody said this earlier to this point before Reggie, where he says, if you approach with the conversation, you have to take the reaction that they give you and listen and not brush it off, because it'll do more damage and separate and cause separation. But I like Scott Lucius's point. He said assumption that both lovers have the capacity to be monogamous. You might want to be monogamous, but do you have the capacity to be monogamous? And not everyone entering a relationship has prepared themselves for exclusivity, and that's even in poly relationships again. So every dynamic is different, but I think that these are all parts of the equation. You know what I mean? I think that all of this is what we're talking about is part of the equation.
And even in poly relationships, because I'm not gonna put no one's name out there, but I'm dealing with that now with a friend, and it's like you open a door, and then you don't set boundaries. Now you got stuff going on. You gotta sit down and understand, what's going on, because you can cause a lot of friction.
Yeah.
In a relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, so.
No, I agree. I think that again, we talked about love languages last year when we first started having these conversations about relationships and dating, and what it is to communicate, and what your love language looks like. Two people can have the same love language, but it manifests differently. The expectation of what that looks like is different. So for instance, two people can have touch as their love language, but touching me is not going to be the same as how maybe Jeff wants to be touched, or how Troy wants to be touched. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might be satisfied with just put your leg on me, versus another might want to, rub my head, versus just because you like your head rubbed, that woman might not want your hands in her head, rubbing her head. You see what I'm saying? So I think that even though we have love languages, and trying to understand how to make that come alive, that's where I believe that sometimes comprehension gets broken down. And, there's that whole lost in translation situation. Well, there goes that. But that whole lost in translation situation happens because there's different expectations. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I just say, fuck, just don't cheat. Just stop cheating. Everybody, just control your emotions, control your goddamn genitalia. I mean, if you're in a relationship or marriage and you're missing something, go express that shit. But at the end of the day,
counseling. Although all they're going to do is blame the man anyway. But go seek counseling. That's one.
Yeah.
I just, for me at my age, I've realized, I'm glad that I've learned from mistakes of other men, other peers, other frat brothers of mine. I'm like, look, I would much rather remain faithful and not deal with the fallout and the backlash, because you never know. One of the things I've realized, you never know how a person is going to react to infidelity, man or woman. Some people find out you've been unfaithful, they get upset, they may cry, get emotional. Other people get physical. Other people will attack your wallet. Other people will do. So it just depends. And for me, it's like, you have to ask yourself, before you go cheat, before you go do whatever it is that's a violation of your agreement, ask yourself, is this person worth the fallout? Are they worth it? Is this piece of ass or whatever it is you get from this person, is it worth not only hurting your partner's feelings and breaking their heart, but is it worth the, potential reprisal? Because you never know what this person is going to do. Because again, I've seen it happen in my family, and I've seen it with peers of mine here in Atlanta. It's like, you know what, that person wasn't worth it. That person wasn't worth getting stabbed over, or whatever. So same thing with women. Women need to understand, like, stop giving yourself a pass, or stop saying that, because it was emotional, or because, my man didn't do this or my man didn't do that. Okay, if it was so bad, why not just leave? I know that's easier said than done, but it can't always be, well, the best default reaction is to go sleep with someone else or go give someone else, invest emotions in someone else when you should be investing your emotions in your partner.
Right.
We need to stop normalizing. We need to stop making that popular, regardless of what's in our music, regardless of what's in pop culture. Stop trying to glorify, popularize infidelity and cheating. It ain't cool.
Yeah.
Man,
I don't know where that comes from. Reality
Yeah.
TV.
I agree with you. I think that, you said it earlier, and I think Horace said it earlier about how cheating has been normalized, unfortunately. And I want to get into why women cheat. And there was this scene, and I know, Jeff, you are not a Tyler Perry fan. I get it. But he had a scene. I think it was Why Did I Get Married To?
Family. You
No,
talking
it's Why Did I Get
family?
Married To? And
Okay, it wasn't with her with the white man. Okay.
it was him. In Why Did I Get Married To? He was married to
It was the first one. Oh, the 80-20
no,
thing
no,
at
no.
the end.
Yeah, his wife. He and his wife went
Mike
through.
and Trina.
She was cheating. She had not slept with the guy. She was cheating emotionally with a guy on her job. He was
yeah,
sending her flowers and all of this, and so she started, dressing different. And he noticed little things.
Oh, Tyler
And there
Perry's
was this
wife.
scene.
yeah.
There was a scene where she was getting dressed and she was picking up her clothes for the next day. And he was in the bed rubbing his wedding, and he looked at it and he said, sexy. And she was like, you think so?
And he knew
And
the
it was the amount of care she took into getting dressed because she had not taken that much care before into how she was, dressing for work and stuff. So he noticed, and all the flowers, and he was like, who's so-and-so? And she was like, who, what? So he realized she was cheating. It was emotional. And there was later on, him and the men were talking. And they were like, he was like, listen, when women cheat, it's different. It's not the same. Men can go and bone and that's it. He said, but when a woman cheats emotionally like this, she checked out of the marriage a long time ago. And that's a red flag. And so they ended up breaking up and all this other kind of stuff, but they ended up getting back together. But I want to hit that point and start and talk about why women cheat. And I'm not saying it's the man's fault, nothing.
No.
It was, she didn't, I don't know if, it was alluded to in the movie, I haven't watched it in a while, why she cheated or whatever. I think it was because of the attention that the guy on her job was showering her. He really paid attention to her. It was the romance. He wooed her. He did all of the things that she wasn't getting in her marriage, but she didn't realize that she wanted it or needed it. You know what I'm saying? And so in that instance, you can't communicate something when you don't even know you're starving for it.
No, you know what? That movie came on last week. I remember watching it. You're right. Number one, Tyler Perry and that woman, they've been having marital issues since the first marriage. I mean,
they all did. Yep. They all did. It's just one fitted better.
Huh?
The doctor and the Gab. I don't watch Tyler Perry. I only know this stuff because I critique it very, 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 very viciously. Because I don't like his message. He always talks about us brothers, but yes, every couple had their issue, but even in that, he also knew the exact date she started acting different.
Correct.
Yeah.
He noticed stuff.
He noticed. He's like, because you talked about, he's like, you came home, you fucked me like nobody else, and I think
she slipped up and called out the wrong name. She did.
Right. And some women don't realize men, we don't, it may not be called ESP, but don't think we're all stupid and we're not aware.
Right.
Because
don't say, just observe. Don't say nothing immediately. And that's what he did. He
picked up on certain things.
That's what I don't either. I watch. Right. Or the pick up to leave the house. You can tell I've been through all this. So yeah.
No, I mean I've been emotionally cheated on. So I mean I certainly can see it. I mean, if Tyler Perry, if you're a man and your woman, 7 days a week, 365 for years, been wearing granny panties every day, then all of a sudden she just started wearing thongs to work, then I'm gonna notice. Yeah. I'm like,
well, I think Tyler Perry. Well, if it was real life, Tyler Perry only knows because he probably was helping her pick it out. But yeah. Anyways,
it's
I didn't even caught the joke. But yeah, so I get it.
I mean, I think that was one cinematic example,
right?
Because it's not like she said. From what I remember from the scene, it's not like she said, or it was stated that she was physically with the guy Philip, or whatever his name was.
She
emotionally was cheating with him.
Emotionally, yeah, she was definitely emotionally
that close to him, but she never slept with him. But
Right.
like I said, he probably, and she even said he's a lawyer. He's on my cases. You know, we have that in common. Tyler Perry was always in that movie. What did he do? Wasn't he a doctor? He was concerned about the kids. He was boring, probably.
He was a doctor or something. Yeah, he was a doctor.
Pediatrician.
They had a routine life. Everything was a specific routine. It was very much a schedule. Everything was on a schedule and a routine, and it was this and it was that. And so, you know, like I said, sometimes as a woman, you don't know that you feel boxed in, or you don't know that you don't realize sometimes, because especially if you start a routine, you don't realize that you're missing something or that you're starved for something. So you can't communicate with your partner to say, I need, when you've got into this routine, until somebody else comes on the scene and starts doing things. And it's kind of like, well, I like how this feels. You know what I mean? It's kind of like what Nicole Ari Parker said to, they had an interview, I think it was last year. You posted in the Ringside, Trey, I think, when she said she was talking about dating, and she, you know, she told Boris that, you know, we can't stop dating. Like, I want, what happened to when we used to date, and, you know, the romance, like, that can't stop just because we're married. I still need that. And I felt kudos to her for being able to express that, but not all women may not be able to express that. And so I think that, you know, I just kind of want to bring that up. Pip, we haven't heard from you for a while. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, she's quiet.
You know, I just like to listen sometimes. I honestly think emotionally cheating. See, this is what I didn't want to answer. I really didn't want to put this one. I really wanted to avoid this one. I'm going to be honest.
Let's start first. Have you ever emotionally cheated?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why did you do it?
And not to an extent that it was on purpose. Like, I didn't go out and say, "Oh, I'm gonna emotionally cheat."
Right.
Let me turn on the light. I didn't say that. I just it just kind of happened, and I was like,
See,
I think, you know, it's kind of like, I think this is not okay, right? This is not okay behavior. And I did correct it. And no one had to tell me that it wasn't okay, or, you know, whatever. I'm sorry. A couple of people did tell me it wasn't okay, and I did correct it. Now, I cared enough about the person to correct it, right? So I think that's like a big thing. If you realize you're doing something and you correct it, like, without continuing the situation, right? It didn't get to a point where I'm changing who I am as an individual. You know, it didn't get to that point. It was kind of like, oh, you know what? I realized I'm doing more of this, and I'm talking to this person more than someone else, like my man. So just having friends around to call me out and saying, hey, this is not okay, right? I think that who you surround yourself with is very important. For me, I have friends that will call me out when I call them out, and we hold each other accountable. And also family members, right, that will hold me accountable to certain things. And I think that's really important. When someone sees you going down a path, they shouldn't just allow you to continue to go down a different path. They should say, hey, look, I don't know if what you're doing is okay. Maybe you should stop this. Mm-hmm. I think all of that is important, but like, just going back to the Tyler Perry movie or film, there was another instance of cheating where the sheriff and the wife, it seemed like she was cheating, right? The way he viewed it, he was like, how could you go back and help this dude out? And he ended up dying.
Oh, you talking about Diary of a Mad Black Woman?
No.
Why did I get married to?
But this is why I get married to.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So same.
I'm sorry. I don't watch that shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fine. So my thing was, okay, well, things can look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And you can and you view it and you feel strong feelings about what you're viewing. And that's why I think we have to be intentional with our conversation. We
Right.
have to be intentional about this is what is acceptable to me. Because
Right.
if you're not intentional, then will you won't have what you want, your relationship with whom you want to have that relationship with. And I just, that's what I think. I try to be intentional, and I try to have the most adult conversations that I possibly can with my significant other. And I just try to explain, hey, look, this isn't working, or
Right.
this is working, what have you. But yes, I have emotionally cheated. I have. And
Right.
I honestly, I think for me, like as we define it, or as I would define it for myself, I think while being in it, right, there's all these justifications. Well, they won't listen right now, or they won't do this right now, or they won't do that. There's a justification for what you're doing. But I would say if you're questioning what you're doing, then it's probably not okay.
Exactly.
You know what? To that point, I feel like when people are faced with a desire, an attraction, and they reach that crossroads of, wanting to do right, wanting to do wrong. Let's face it, they'll always find a justification. They'll always find something. They can always point to something their partner did or hasn't done. And if they want to, if they do want to cross that boundary and go, have dinner with someone or even sleep with someone, it doesn't matter, man or woman, they can find something to help them justify. Because if anything, they need a justification to help them sleep better at night about their decision.
Right.
They're looking for a justification because they know they're wrong. If you think what you're doing is okay and right, you don't need a justification. You don't need an explanation. You don't need an excuse.
Right.
But you know what you're doing is wrong. You know what you're doing is inappropriate and it's a bad look. So you need to figure out something that your partner either has done, is doing, or hasn't done, and say, well, because they haven't done this, then I need to get this from someone else.
Right.
And again, to a fuck boy, or regardless if that fuck boy is a man or woman, they'll find an excuse and justification.
Right.
And to reference again, and hopefully this is the last time we reference the Tyler Perry movie. In that, you're gonna always have to be aware of even workplace infidelity, because again, that's definitely something that can happen to damn near anybody. As someone like myself, I was once married in a similar situation. Trust me, marriage routine, it can happen. You can get into a routine of doing the exact same thing, the exact same way every single day, just like them. It doesn't justify any type of inappropriate behavior or infidelity. However, with a lot of married couples, it is not uncommon for couples, particularly, especially if you have children, to fall into a rut, to fall into monotony. But it doesn't justify being inappropriate, doesn't justify cheating. But I definitely, from the years being a ringside and people have given their testimonies, I would tell anybody, beware of workplace romances and work husbands and
stuff
work
you don't
wives
see every day in front of you.
Yeah, you have, depending on your job, depending on your profession, some people are around their coworkers more than they are their spouse.
Yeah.
So
and I think that, Troy, I want to hit that real quick, because you hear this all the time, these terms, work wife, work husband, that kind of stuff, and that could lead to a lot of different things. Sometimes it's harmless, but other times, to your point, Troy, if you marry, you're in a committed relationship, you're monogamous, whatever, even if you're poly, and you're in a rut, you're in a routine, and now you're getting attention from your work wife, your work husband. It might be the same attention that you've been getting all of this time, but because you now your conscious mind is aware of the rut and the routine that you're in your relationship at home. Now it's kind of like, ooh, you know what I mean? You're triggered into enjoying this over here at work. And now that's just a seed and a slow spiral into something else, into other things. So I think we have to be careful with all of these, work wife, work husband relationship terms or whatever, that could possibly lead to more, because a lot of times, to Piff's point, sometimes you're not conscious and you're not aware. And then when you are, you correct the behavior, or you have somebody around you that can help you, correct the behavior or hold you accountable. But if you don't have people in your life to do that, or if you're not sharing with them, kind of crazy, kind of hard to do. So, yeah, Jeff. Listen, we saw some stuff. All I can say is we saw some stuff when we were at Strayer.
Listen, there was not just the lady who got fired and didn't know she was fired. There was I don't know if you were there when there was a guy in there and he was like a high up, and then his wife came one day because he was messing with one of the employees. Oh yeah. And he ended up getting let go for it. It was a mess. It was a lot going on there.
There was a lot. And a lot of times, and you got to be careful because, earlier to our point of, is it worth it? You gotta weigh the cost of, is this worth what it might cost you?
Mm-hmm.
In the long run, is it worth losing your job? Because this dude, he was an executive, and they quickly brought that box the same day. They didn't wait,
and they loved them boxes. And they loved them boxes there. Okay,
a whole scene, and baby, when you see that box, you know what it means.
Oh yeah,
she showed up. Yeah, Piff, she showed up. It was a whole scene.
Oh, this place was.
I don't want to sound. I'm not trying to sound perverted, but what kind of box are we talking about?
Like, they bring this brown box.
It is a
brown box, and they pack your office up.
Fired. They're packing their stuff up.
Yep.
Oh, we've all seen that. That's the professional walk of shame.
Oh yeah.
When you have to carry that box. I know I one time when I was at work and I got a promotion, I got a different job and I had to pack my things. I know me being petty, I was trying to be loud and say, "Oh, I'm moving. You got a new position. I'm not getting fired."
You have to. People know what's up.
Right.
People know what's up. But no, seriously, it was wild because it cost this man his job. Your livelihood, cheating with somebody on your job, because first of all, he violated the company code of conduct. No fraternization. They didn't play around. And it's with somebody that he was directly managing. So guess what? Sexual harassment possibility.
Well, I was gonna say also real quick, in Code Red one time I posted a poll and said, what is worse, emotionally cheating or physically cheating? And I don't play that both, because people can't decide. They love to say both. I said no, pick one. I didn't give that option. And I think it was like 64 to 36% that it was emotional.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, at that point, I mean, both are hard to work through, but emotional, once they are not there no more.
You're connected with somebody else.
Even in my marriage years ago, I was young. I'm not gonna go into what I did, but let's just say 6 months before we actually got divorced, I was done. So when the divorce happened, all my friends stuff was like, you seem to be fine. You're out turning up. You'd have moved on. People sometimes are already getting over you.
Right. Most of the time before the divorce, before the ink is dry, before it even happens, people are already checked out of the relationship or the marriage. And in some states, you have to know the state laws. You got to be separated for a whole year before they'll grant you a divorce.
Unless
people do move on.
I know in Texas, unless it was something physical.
Right.
Then so it just really depends. To their danger, right? But yeah.
So, but I think that in this whole conversation about when women cheat, the thing about it is, a lot of times women, when women cheat, it is mostly emotional. So even if we physically have sex with somebody else, emotionally, there's an emotional attachment. We've already checked out. That person has wooed us. They have tapped into that emotional bond to get us to respond in a certain way, or they're filling that gap the thing about emotional cheating is just that when you turn to somebody else, now guess what? You've given them everything they need to fill in and give you what you feel like you're missing. And so now it's like, are you really giving the person that you committed to an opportunity? So it's not okay in any context. Be accountable for yourself and your actions and your decisions. But I think that, a lot of what we said tonight about communicating and comprehending and making sure that, the other person fully understands what you're saying. I think that's important, but also just you don't know what you don't know. If you don't know you're missing something, you don't know that your body, that your body or your mind or your emotions or whatever is starved for something. You can't communicate that either. So you need to be in touch with yourself. And I'm not talking about physically in touch with yourself, but you got to be in tune with you to know what you need and communicate that relationship. And if you're not mature enough to be having these conversations, you need to probably rethink your whole approach to relationships. Maybe you just need to be a serial dater, and ain't nothing wrong with that. There are some people who are serial daters. They're not looking for anything, a commitment. They're just looking to just date and have fun and have a good time, and that's okay. Find your match. Jeff, go ahead.
I don't.
Well, we know that. We know, but I'm just saying that I think that I would rather somebody be honest about being a serial dater than to try to be in a relationship and cheat.
Something funny that was also posted to our group today was a text message that showed someone thought they were dating for 7 months. They were like, oh, I guess they were hanging out, and the person they thought was their boyfriend or girlfriend was like, oh, why are you single? You seem to be a really nice person. And they were like, wait, I thought we were together. That has actually happened to me. That maybe not 7 months, but that has happened to everyone probably. All of you has probably happened that you didn't realize. They didn't realize that you two were not dating, thought you were. Or you make the mistake of inviting them to something thinking that, oh, I'm just in good faith inviting you to something, and they're running around introducing you as they're your boo, or they get upset when they see that you're not in their face. And they're like, why are you playing games? Not playing games.
It's just
the problem is with elephant in the room, and this isn't me, but some people are sexually active with these folks, so it makes them think.
And I'm glad you made that point, because some people think that just because you have sex that you're in a relationship.
Sure.
And that's not the case. That Troy, help the people, please.
Lord.
Again, assumptions. Don't do it. Because just like people have their own definitions of cheating, you have people that have their own definitions of we go together, because you do have people that feel like once we have sex, we're in a relationship. I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
Right. I'm with Aunt here. I personally want my title up front. You need to know up front. Like I think that sometimes people are a bit cavalier these days when it comes to sex and all that kind of stuff. And hey, you listen, no judgment here, but don't assume that just because you're having sex with somebody that you're in a relationship. And so I think that sometimes people will say, oh, he cheated on me, but were you in a monogamous relationship?
I mean, again, it goes back to, regardless of the sex, the running joke. I mean, we debated this in ringside. A running joke. One guy said, if I buy you a drink at the club and you accept and drink it, we go together. And I know the guy was being funny, but you have some men that feel like once I give you money or help pay a bill, or whatever, that means you my girlfriend. That means
guys was me until about 6 years ago. So I understand. If I bought you a drink, you say yes, you come home with me tonight.
Right. So I mean,
that's like what Horace said last year in one of the episodes, that when we were talking about the difference between what women consider a date and men consider a date, a man will tell you a date is dick at the end. Like, we have sex. That's a date. If that ain't happening, that's not a date to a dude. But to a woman, a date is whatever we agree to, dinner and a movie. That's the date. But to a guy, it might be, okay, this ain't no date till dick at the end.
Mm.
So I think that again, that's conversation. Again, the difference is in understanding. So like, you got people that saying, listen, I want my title up front. I think that you need to define where are we going with this? If you engaged, what are the parameters? Because just because we're engaged and we get married, are we in an open marriage? Are we in a is this polyamory? Are we going to explore polyamory? Like you got to, just because you're engaged and you're getting married does not mean that it's going to be in the traditional monogamous, you know what I'm saying, context. Because there's different types of relationship models out there now, marriage models out there, being open marriages and all this kind of stuff. And we don't have to understand it, but it's out there, and you need to know that it's out there, and you need to have conversation to say, what are the boundaries? What are the parameters of this relationship? What am I agreeing to? Because if you don't know, egg on your face, not the other person. So I think that's just, I think that's it. So yeah, this has been a great conversation about when women cheat, because it is definitely different. It is not the same as when men cheat. It's definitely not. And from generation to generation, I think one of the things we've seen, and Horace and Jeff touched on this earlier, cheating has become like some badge of honor. It's just normalized. And, it's definitely different in these dating streets and what people's expectations are. But yeah, when women cheat, it is very different. It is very much emotional. And she has thought about it. It's very premeditated, and we are better at it than men. And I will not argue that point. So yeah, y'all, this is a great conversation, great topic. If y'all have a topic that y'all want us to cover, send it in, and we'll cover it. But I'll let everybody share their closing remarks. So we'll start with Piff.
Oh wow. I'm just gonna say honestly, just be intentional with your conversations with your significant other. And if you feel like it's worth saving, whether your significant other has cheated, then just talk to them, right? And the other thing that we haven't talked about is forgiveness, right? We didn't say we didn't talk about that, and I think that that's important. So if you're able to forgive and actually let go, right? So you can't, every time this person gets home, you can't be like, remember when you cheated. Like it can't be like a part of every argument. You have to be able to move on. And if you can't move on, then that relationship may not be for you. I just think those are like the two main pieces that I would say to end with.
Jeff?
All right. Jerry's 2 minutes. I'm just kidding. It'll take me 10 seconds. Bottom line, listen to who your significant other is. If they have issues, even if they might not communicate verbally, pick up on those nonverbal cues. If you see that they've changed in some way, shape, or form, if you see that they have done something different or they're complaining about something constantly, please be mindful. Keep an open mind. And both parties need to be receptive. I think if all things are done, a lot of clashing will be avoided.
That's good. Troy?
Well, I always got to go last.
Not always.
From my own personal experience, I would say anybody, man or woman, life is so much simpler when you keep your emotions and your genitalia at home. Again, there's a lot of temptation out there and whatnot, but when it's all said and done, it's not worth it. If there are issues going on in your marriage or your relationship, I know it may seem difficult, but you need to communicate that shit. Communicate verbally, communicate. If you can't communicate verbally, communicate via email, communicate sign language with puppets or whatever. Do something, but relay your issues to your partner. Let them know what you're missing. Let them know what they can do to remedy it. And again, my final point is, and I'm glad, for this subject, I'm glad for this topic, because despite what is in social media or mainstream media or Derek Jackson, I need folk to realize women can definitely be bigger fuckboys than men. Don't get it twisted. Women are not all women are angels. Not all women are innocent. You got these, as Jeff said, and I love the phrase city girls because I'm like, I can't stand a motherfucking city girl. But you definitely have women out here who are out here in these streets being savage, just as bad as men. So that's my final thought.
It's just they do it better. Play victim.
I agreed. I you get no argument here. So y'all, this was a great conversation, and to just point, communication is a consistent theme that we talked about tonight. And that's what it boils down to. Not only communication, it's understanding and comprehending, like Horace said. So I think that absolutely, anybody who cheats should definitely be held accountable, and there's no excuse. If you're an adult, have a conversation, say what you say what you mean what you say, but you don't have to say it in a mean way, like Reggie said. Just be open and honest, and I think that you'll find out relationships are so much better when you do it that way. So that's it. So again, thank y'all for tuning in tonight on this very good conversation about when women cheat. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Catch y'all on the back side. Have a good night. Thank y'all so much.